Have the Maple Leafs struck gold with this misfits third line? This is the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On at Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time, download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. What's happening, Dave? How we feeling after that victory? Leafs win 5-3 over the Dallas Stars. They chased Jake Ottinger from the net. It was their seventh straight win against the Dallas Stars. Just the fourth time that Dallas has lost on home ice, by the way. All the talk heading into this one was about the super line, the most expensive line in hockey history. But it was that journeyman third line that fueled the Leafs tonight, wasn't it, Dave?
Oh, it definitely was. And, it was looking, I wouldn't say exactly the same as the last game against the Devils. There are a lot of similarities between these two games in a lot of ways for this Leafs team.
Yeah, bad start. Bad start. The Leafs were outshot. Was it 16-4?
Yeah.
16-4 in the first period, and they couldn't stay out of the box, and Connor Timmins pretty much just set up shop in the box in the first period. That was kind of ridiculous, what was going on there with him. I'd wonder if he spends a night up in the press box after that type of performance, but didn't matter because the Maple Leafs came to play, or at least Joseph Woll, rather, came to play tonight, and he turned aside 15 of the 16 shots he faced in that period. He was unbelievable between the third line and Joseph Woll. Those were the two storylines on the night. And why don't we start off with this third line, though, Dave? Because like I said, all the talk coming into it was, wow, I'm excited and intrigued to see Matthews, Marner, and Nylander all together. But for a second game in a row here, it's the Domi, McMann, Robertson line who are going out there and providing offense.
They're all feeding off of each other, whether it's Domi actually finally shooting the puck, McMann making some great plays, right? And
being healthy, like he's finally healthy.
Yeah, you can see he's healthy, he's confident, he's not second-guessing himself offensively. And Nick Robertson, you can't discredit what he's done. He's doing the little things well, right? Getting into positions, hunting the puck down. And, he's not known for being a distributor, but he's been doing that, right? I think it's just the chemistry has been instant. I've never seen a line like that develop chemistry that quickly. Consider they'd never played with each other. It's just unreal how much chemistry they have.
Yeah, well, it's because they're playing the game the right way. They're playing the game that Craig Berube believes that they can have success with. They're playing fast. They're playing up tempo. Whoa, just got real dark on you there, pal.
Yeah, I got this light beside me, and I accidentally touched it, and I'm at a buddy's house. Actually, you might know Austin, who helped me out on the last pod. He put this lovely light beside me, and he set it up, and now he screwed up. Austin, I might need your help here.
We need a lighting guy. We need a lighting guy back in here to help out Dave for half a second.
There's Austin.
Lighting guy. We need the lights on for Dave. There we go. At least the third line was shining bright tonight, unlike Dave. But yeah, all three hit the score sheet. And, I thought that it's a line that's just playing the game the right way. Like before the game, Berube was asked oh, what did you like about them? And he's like, it's not just that they're scoring. He said, it's nice, but they're playing aggressive. They're playing fast. They're hungry on pucks. They're winning puck battles, and they're keeping, possessions alive and getting opportunities and taking the puck to the net, playing direct, straight line hockey. And that's exactly what they were doing tonight, right? Robertson was trying to take the puck to the net. He lost it, fumbled it for a second, but then ends up getting the puck back. And what does he do? Puts it right on net, scores a goal. Domi, they're going in. Didn't do no north-south nonsense where they were kind of no stop up, no fly-by, nothing. He's going hard to the net off the fly, and what's he do? Rips it, and he ends up scoring a goal. So I mean, it's really good to see these guys starting to find some offense because look, the secondary scoring has been in existence for this team, and now you've got 2 games in a row here where Domi's put up finally scoring. He's got a goal in back-to-back games. Robertson's got a goal in back-to-back games, and Bobby McMann is kind of doing a little bit of everything out there as well. The Leafs might have something here with this line. They really might have something.
Yeah, it just allows the other lines maybe a little bit of breathing room too, right? You don't have to throw out your top line as much because you can rely on your other lines to provide scoring depth, right? That's been this issue for this Leafs team is having the other lines contribute offensively, and Craig Berube now can say, I can throw these guys out there because I know that they could provide offense for me, and it's what I also like too is they know they can't spend long periods in the defensive end. They need to find a way to get up the ice. They need to be smart in their own end so that they can get themselves quickly up the ice for those offensive chances. And if they're in the offensive zone, they got to do their best to stay there, right? And they've done a really good job of getting to loose pucks, forechecking. It's all worked, and we'll see if this can continue. Like, this is one of those developments where it's nice, but it's a couple of games. Let's see if this is something that can keep going.
What did you make of the super line? Right, that the loaded up line of Matthews, Marner, and Nylander, the M&M line, as some people were trying to coin it. What did you make of their play tonight?
I thought I could see where the benefits can be, but we're also seeing where there's a bit of uncertainty of defensive assignments. There's still we talked about. You brought up the stats that I think it was the 10 goals for 8 against. A super line like that, that's not a good ratio to me. It's a positive, right? They're not in the red there,
right?
But it should be much better than that. And that's the concern you have there is can they all be responsible defensively enough to be aligned together? That's something I think Craig Berube is going to look at. Yep, they can do some good things offensively. We saw a bit of that with that Nylander goal tonight. You see the benefits. I like to see them give it some time to kind of work itself out because they're not getting the easy matchups.
No.
Right?
No.
And so people are going to say, I hate it. I'm like, it does take time for things to kind of gel. These guys are all feeding off each other. They're all puck-dominant players, too. And that was my other concern, potentially, when I was thinking about this line. They're all going to want the puck. They all can't have the puck.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to figure out a way to coexist in that regard, too.
For sure. And look, I'm not expecting this line to remain intact for a very long time. I think this was a night where, I think you just give it a go. And I think they enjoyed what they saw out of that third line in the last game. And then you kind of liked what you saw from Tavares, Pacioretty, and Nyes and what they can do defensively. They can be defensively responsible. That could be your matchup line. So then they thought, well, let's see what this line can do. And what I will say, I don't think they play great. You look at the underlying numbers, and when those three were out there together, they played 10 minutes and 31 seconds at 5-on-5 as a trio tonight, and they were outshot 8-6. So they ended up being outshot. They were outscored 2-1. The expected goals were slightly in their favor because they did generate a decent amount of scoring chances a little later in the game. But early on, it wasn't great. It did not look good. I mean, a couple of bad turnovers, and the puck was in the back of the net shortly thereafter. And you're thinking, this is not looking good for this line. But what you also saw was their ability to flip the game in an instant. And that's what's so intriguing about this line. Like, they get that stop from Joseph Woll, and they transition the puck up ice, and it's tic-tac-toe, right? Matthews gets the puck at center, turns. He kind of brings in a defender, and then he chips it past him and allows Willie to go and get the puck in tight on a breakaway and just absolutely roofs it, goes top titty, and turn the whole game around. Like, that was the TSN turning point. The save, transitioning into the goal, and then the Maple Leafs scored on the very next shift 16 seconds later, and they took control of the hockey game at that point. So it's intriguing that they have that ability where on a dime they can get a goal and change, the course of a game. That's kind of what happened tonight. But you got to live with the good and the bad, right?
Yeah.
You give up those plays, but then you know that there's a possibility and a probability that at some point something's going to click with those three superstars, and something did, and it turned positive and turned the game around tonight.
Well, that's it, right? You hope that as the chemistry develops, where they all kind of know how to work with each other, then you're going to see it come offensively. I think there's a bit of they know they have to be defensively responsible, so maybe they can't all be like jumping in certain situations. They all have to figure out who's going to do what, right? And I think there's going to be a bit of that. It's going to take some time for them to work that all out because there's a lot of similarities in the way these guys play. That could be a good thing, but at the same time, it can be a bit of a sorting act as well.
For sure it will be. I'm curious. Like, do you think they stick with this line again moving forward? You think we see this in Buffalo in a couple of days?
I think you probably do see it at least one more. You're maybe two more games because you do have a back-to-back coming up, and then I'd like to see Craig Berube stick with it for a bit. If he's going to do a big change like this, doing it after one game, unless he really, really hated it, right? Like the coach could just decide, yeah, no, didn't really like it. Let's just abandon it.
He did get scored on twice, so.
Yeah, and he gave Willie a bit of a talking to on that one, but that was more of the power play. He kind of, he had a bit of that mishap there, but I don't know. We haven't heard from Craig Berube yet about it, so I'm curious to see if he says anything, but maybe they'll keep it around for a little bit longer.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll get to the 3 stars of the night. Joseph Woll, have yourself a day. He'll definitely show up. And we had not 1, not 2, but 3 trades in the NHL tonight ahead of the NHL roster freeze Thursday night at midnight. We'll tell you what trades they were and, if the Maple Leafs might be in on anything over the next 24 hours. That's all coming up next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, you can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. Prize Picks put its members first with all withdrawals that are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I get my money back in as quick as 15 minutes. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this hockey season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Today's episode is also brought to you by SelectQuote, the World Series, the Super Bowl, the Olympics, and even the Stanley Cup playoffs. The world's top athletes get to play in these top-level sporting events thanks to one thing: teamwork. And teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents are the perfect teammates when shopping for customized, affordable life insurance. You can find the right policy to keep your financial legacy safe in your family's end zone. SelectQuote is one of America's leading insurance brokers for nearly 40 years of experience, helping over 2 million customers find over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. Other life insurance brokers offer impersonal, one-size-fits-all policies that may cost you more and cover you less, while SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents work for you to tailor a life insurance policy for your individual needs in as little as 15 minutes. These policies are more affordable than you think. You can get coverage for up to $1 million for as little as $20 per month. Head to selectquote.com and a licensed insurance agent will call you right away with the right policy for your life and your budget. SelectQuote. They shop, you save. Get the right insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL. Go to selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL today to get started. That's selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you as we are each and every day here on the Locked On Leafs podcast. Free and available wherever you get a podcast for you on-the-go listeners. And you can also find us up on YouTube. If you enjoy the show, we'd ask that you please do subscribe. Got a lot of unsubscribers who are daily listeners. Sub up. Click the notification bell so you know exactly when we're dropping new videos for you guys. And again, on the go, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts at. It's all Leafs all the time on the Locked On Leafs podcast. The Leafs with a 5-3 win over the Dallas Stars. It's their 7th straight victory over this Dallas Stars club. Nick Robertson, 5-0 over his brother Jason Robertson. So that's always fun. Fun to see the little sibling rivalry, and it's definitely tipped in the favor of the Maple Leafs. And dude, Nick Robertson, Nicky Bobby loves playing the Dallas Stars because things seem to go really, really well when he's playing against his brother. I'm sure he will show up in our 3-star segment. We do it after every Leafs victory. We'll start off with the first star of the game, Dave. Who are you giving it to?
I got to give to Joseph Woll.
Yep, me too.
For all the talk the last couple of days, Anthony Stolarz, he's out for long term. How the Leafs going to be able to deal with that? And Joseph Woll just said, "You got me." This was literally like the brick wall tonight. And something about playing Dallas that he really likes. We mentioned it going into this game. He did only have one start against Dallas, but he was rock solid in that game. And they don't win that game if Joseph Woll doesn't play like he did.
No, absolutely not. I mean, if he plays like an average goaltender in the first period, they're down 2 Cobb, probably 2-1 or 3-1, 2-1, and you're not liking the game at all. But Joe Woll made some big time saves in that game. The first period, I mean, go and take a look at the numbers in the first period. It was not flattering, my guy. You take a look. Dallas had so it's 15-4 were the shots on goal. Dallas had 11 scoring chances, 6 high danger chances, and they won the period with 93% expected goals in all situations. Toronto couldn't stay out of the box. They couldn't stay. They couldn't get set up in the offensive end. They were just absolutely getting trounced. But luckily, they had a goalie who was willing to keep the puck out of the net that whole time. So Joseph Woll surely deserves the number 1 star. And look, man, we talked about how this is an opportunity for him to answer the bell and take a hold of that number 1 goalie job. And the way that Stolarz lifted him up when he was hurt by filling in very nicely, Wooly, the goalie, could do the exact same thing for Stolarz if he can continue to rattle off performances such as the one he just did against the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, again, this is why they went with this tandem. You know, you're starting to see it across the league more too. Like at this rate, if you're a team that doesn't have a tandem goaltending system, it's likely because you have an elite guy like a Connor Hellebuck, Andre Vasilevsky, you know, even an Igor Shesterkin in that. Or, I mean, in some cases, some teams just don't even have the level of goaltending even close to resembling a good enough tandem either. But, like, you look at Joseph Woll's stats this year, even in his last few games. Yeah, at Detroit, I mean, they got outplayed in that game, but he kept them close in that one. You know, he allows 3 goals against the Stars, but, I mean, he faced a boatload of shots in that one. He had that really good game against Anaheim coming in a relief. Like even like the Nashville game, he was pretty good. Like he's putting together solid. Like it hasn't been a really bad Joseph Woll game in a while.
No,
like I don't look at like I haven't seen a game from Joseph Woll and I'm just like, yeah, he's let them like maybe the St. Louis game. All like we're talking like late October,
yeah,
like where he like he just didn't have it, and
it was just impacted the injury too.
Yeah,
he's
and the Leafs just couldn't figure, and they were struggling too. They couldn't score and all those things. So, like the fact that he's gone on this lengthy period of just consistently good performances, like you got to feel really good. Like when Stolarz got hurt. I was like, that's really unfortunate, but I wasn't sounding the alarms because of what like. If Joseph Woll was struggling, then you sound the alarms. You got a good goalie. how's he going to do with an increased workload? That's the real question going forward.
Well, I don't know if you saw what happened as Joseph Woll was putting on that performance. Matt Murray was putting on quite the performance in the American League. 27 save shutout against Wilkes-Barre. So Matt Murray throwing his name into the ring when it comes to a potential call-up soon. And I was on Overdrive today, and I was talking with Darren Dreger, and he's of the belief that once they get back, most likely from the Christmas break, he believes that Matt Murray will probably factor into the Maple Leafs situation. And I wonder even if that could get expedited to this weekend after a performance like that, a shutout performance in the AHL. Maybe he comes into play, that game on Saturday, perhaps, with the Leafs getting a back-to-back this upcoming weekend, potentially.
I don't know how because I know Hildeby was called up as an emergency recall.
Well, I think that was at
the
time, but I think he became like an actual.
Okay, because that was something too, right? Like, how long is Hildeby allowed to be? But I mean, they can just loan him back and forth.
Yeah.
The one thing you gotta be, you bring Matt Murray up, and let's say he goes on a really good stretch, he requires waivers to go back.
Well, if he's there for, I think it's 30 days? Like, you can go up and down for like a couple of games once you clear. Mm-hmm. But if he's here for an extended period, and maybe that's why they're waiting and holding off until after.
And that's why I was thinking, like, it probably makes more sense. The back-to-back this weekend, it's Buffalo and and the Islanders. Like, I don't think it's totally necessary to really push to have Murray up for that. Probably best just to wait until after the Christmas break. You'll likely get a little more of an idea of Anthony Stolarz' recovery timeline too. Like, they were saying week to week, probably 4 weeks, could be up to 6 weeks. So, like, give yourself a little bit of more time to just figure out how long you're really gonna need a guy like Matt Murray up.
All right, your second star, Dave. Almost forgot we were doing 3 stars.
Let's go with what did you call it again?
The misfits line, like,
the misfits line, the
redemption line, or something like that. I don't really understand.
I guess because like Domi and Robertson are redeeming themselves. Like, McMann's been good. He's like, it's not like he just got hurt.
So I call it the misfits. Like, we'll call it the misfits line. I think we can coin that on the Locked On Leafs podcast. They can do whatever they want on the Sportsnet broadcast. But on the Locked On Leafs podcast, it's the misfits line, and I think that it fits very well.
I think it does too. Like, they just solid play from as I said, like, the chemistry's been there. They're all pretty sure all three of them have scored. They all scored. All three scored tonight. So,
5 goals in the last 2 games between those.
Unreal. Like, it's one thing to do it at home. On the road, I talked about they got to find a way to get offense on the road. That line being able to do it, that's pretty good. Yeah, obviously everyone wants to see the Stars score. I don't mind seeing this third line taking advantage of the opportunities they get.
Yeah, you're going to get goals from the top. And look, let's not act like Willie did not have 2 goals tonight either.
Yeah.
He also did score, right? So you got it from the big boys, but then you also got it from the depth. So, the third line just feels like they're playing with like really good speed, some assertiveness, and confidence ultimately. Like, Nick Robertson just looks confident carrying the puck, whereas at times he is not. And then if the puck bounces on him, it fumbles, and then he starts making mistakes. But he looks confident right now. He's got a little bit of swagger again, and so does Domi. And you got Bobby McMann back in the fold, who's a cool, calm, collected cucumber type of guy. So, I like what this third line has done, man. Like, this misfit line looks pretty good. I think they'll get a little bit longer of a look, obviously, as long as they continue to produce for this Leafs team. Nylander is my third star. Right, goes out there, a couple of snipes. One snipe, and then scores the empty netter as well to seal the deal. But up to 20 goals on the season, Dave. 20 goals already. We're 31, 32 games into the season. He's got 20 Gs.
It's really good. Like, it's, again, we're seeing a bit of like the Willie from last year, but I think it's been, I feel like, a quiet 20 goal season for Nylander. It feels like that. Like, just with everything going on with the team, all the attention on how good Marner has been, Matthews sideline, he's not exactly scoring. The injuries aside, hasn't been scoring to the level that people are expecting of him. Now he's a little off the pace for the scoring lead, but I mean Draisaitl's got 23. He's like up.
He's
If you
3 off. I mean, that's not
right,
really off pace. He's only 3 back.
if you were to tell me Will Nylander would be top 5 in goal scoring this year, I don't think I would have believed you. Like I thought he would be in the mix of like the top 15, not top 5, right? So yeah, he's just found another gear. Like, and it's like he'll have those games where he doesn't exactly look too assertive, and all of a sudden, quick 2 goals.
Yep.
And like that empty netter, like let's not like that empty netter was a tough empty netter. It was Heiskanen all over him.
Yeah.
Right.
He battled him off until Heiskanen eventually gave up. Was like, okay, he's gonna put it in. And then he just slid it into that. Just a little tap it in. Just tap it in. And so up to 20 goals in 32 games, and that's a pace of 51. So Willie on pace to crack 50 for the first time in his career after back-to-back 40-goal seasons. So he's having an excellent season, and I thought he played decent tonight too. But just a beautiful goal, like an unbelievable goal on that third goal for the second goal for the Maple Leafs. I thought it was great, so gave him my 3rd star. What about you?
Third star's got to go to the penalty kill.
Yeah.
Joseph Woll played a big part of it, but another night where can we have a night where the Leafs don't take like 4 or 5 penalties in a game?
No,
that's
not possible.
I mean, Connor Timmins playing, you're already getting like 2 from him minimum.
Yeah, exactly.
But
back-to-back shifts actually comes out of the box, takes another penalty,
and he got away with one too. That got Mason Marchment, right? That offside play that I thought he was going to get called for. Poor Mason Marchment, man, he had a tough one. Yeah. He gets knocked down by Timmins. The penalty doesn't get called. He tries to pick himself up. What happens? His stick bursts, and he falls. And he let the game hurt. I'm like, I hope it wasn't from that.
Yeah, hopefully not. Tough night, I guess, for Marchment, who was our locked-on player to watch. Didn't do a whole lot tonight, that's for sure. All right, so there's the 3 stars on the night. Joe Woll, the 3rd line, the misfit line, and then Nylander and the penalty kill sharing 3rd star duties from Dave and I. Coming up on the other side, a couple trades around the NHL. Are the Maple Leafs going to get involved before tomorrow's tonight? Actually, it's at midnight. The trade freeze upcoming. We'll talk about that next here on the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NHL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NHL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Network. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you, reacting to a Maple Leafs 5-3 win over the Dallas Stars. And while that was all ongoing, there were some GMs making moves, some moving and shaking around the NHL. There's an NHL Christmas roster freeze that comes into effect Thursday night at midnight. And so GM's trying to make some final deals prior to that happening. So we had a trio of trades go down tonight. The first one, I think, is probably the most notable of the 3 trades that happened, and it was the Rangers finally deciding to move off of Kaapo Kakko, the 2019 second overall pick. It just did not work out for Kaapo Kakko in New York. He was a healthy scratch over the weekend, sounded off on it yesterday, and, usually when you start sounding off about the team doesn't know what they're doing and how he felt he was not the problem, usually you're the one who finds himself out of the situation. So the Seattle Kraken have decided to take on Kaapo Kakko and that project. They give up Will Borgen, a 3rd and a 6th round pick for Kakko in return. What did you make of this deal, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, my instant reaction was just, man, New York just completely butchered another draft pick, like second overall. Like it's just unreal. And I like when he was like in the World Juniors, we saw a lot about what Kakko was about. Good, really good players. Like what was like the Finnish trio of like him. Was it him, Line, and there's someone else? They were kind of like the Finnish trio at the World Juniors.
No,
Or
that was years ago. That
was
was
that years ago?
back when it was Laine, Aho, and Puijarvi.
Right. Okay. I can't remember. Like I do remember like there was a couple of Finnish players that played really well with at the World Juniors, but like it just seemed like he didn't fit with what the Rangers were trying to do. Like they drafted him second overall, but then he was thrusted right into things, and I'm like, probably not the right move.
Yeah.
And he was never really afforded that time to develop. The Rangers are not exactly a team that wanted to wait for players to develop. They wanted, they draft this guy second overall. A market like New York isn't exactly very patient. I think maybe that's where his frustrations came about. And if you're Seattle, right, you're taking on another, like, funny enough, another Finnish player that a team has given up on, right? Eli Tolvanen, placed
Oh
on
yeah.
waivers.
Yeah.
Picked him up on waivers, right? And for them, the cost, Will Borgen, a depth defenseman, right? And a couple,
Supposedly,
picks.
Toronto may have been sniffing on a Will Borgen as like a
Yeah.
sixth defenseman, big body, right shot.
We kept talking about that guy, last year as maybe a potential
Yeah,
trade chip, but I'm surprised. Like, Seattle did right to hold on to him at this point, right? You trade him, and you're hoping you're getting more value in getting a Kakko rather than just straight up draft picks.
Oh, for sure. I think it works out. And like, look, Kaapo Kakko, he just it has not gone well for him. Like he has a career high 18 goals, 40 points, and that was 3 years ago. Like last year, just 19 points in 61 games. This year, he's got 4 goals through 30 games and just took a seat up in the press box. And this is a kid, just 23 years old, big body, 6'1", 215 pounds. Like it looks like he should be able to be a power forward in this league. Just something hasn't clicked for him in New York, and maybe it will. I think it's a worthwhile gamble for the Kraken. We'll see if it works out, but yeah, it did not work out for the New York Rangers. But you mentioned it, another draft pick, another first round pick that the Rangers spoil. You go back to the 2013, right? From 2013 to 2019, the year that Kaapo Kakko was taken in the first round. This is what their drafts look like. No picks in the top 2 in 2013. No first round pick in 2014. No first round pick in 2015. No first or second round pick in 2016. 2017, they take Elias Anderson in the first round, and they take Philip Hedl in the first round. Okay, Heedle's played a decent role for them as a middle six kind of player, so he's at least on the team. Elias Anderson, did not work out well at all. 2018, they end up with 3 first-round picks. Vitaly Kravtsov, K'Andre Miller, and Niels Lundqvist. Well, Kravtsov's not even in the NHL anymore. Lundqvist is, he's in Dallas, but doing nothing in Dallas.
Yep.
And K'Andre Miller, he's taken a step back this year. Like, it looked like he may be a player, but then he really has not played well this season. And then, obviously, Kaapo Kakko in 2019. So that's a tough stretch where they really didn't get any high-end talent in the draft. And even in, like, if you look and see, all right, well, did they at least get, any other prospects in those drafts? Not really. You go back again to 2013, outside of Pavel Buchnevich and Anthony Duclair, who they got in the third round of 2013. Ryan Graves was also a fourth-round pick in 2013. Outside of that, you got Igor Shesterkin, obviously great pick in the 2014 draft, and then nothing really outside of that has played a big role or any type of role really for this Rangers team. No wonder they're kind of in a situation where they're at right now.
Yeah, when you look at teams that are in that contending window, remember when they sent that letter to Rangers fans? They're going to take a step back. That didn't really last too long either.
Well, that's the thing. They took a step back, but then they started winning games, and then they signed Panarin to a big contract, and I was like, okay, we're in it. This is a team that won the President's Trophy a year ago, so it is kind of confusing.
Yeah.
How the Rangers have really fallen off, and they started out the year on fire too. They're 10-2-1 in the first 13 games, and they've just fallen off a cliff. And I don't know what the hell's going on. They put out that memo they were going to trade Trouba and Kreider, and since then they're 3-9, and it has gone from bad to worse in New York.
If I'm Chris Drury right now, that seat is starting to get hot. Even the play, there was there was a rumor out there that the Rangers weren't exactly a fan of what Drury was doing, right? Sending out that letter.
Mm-hmm.
You know why he?
Stupid. I mean,
I know why he did it. I know why he did it. It didn't have the desired effect that he was looking for. So, if I'm him right now, wouldn't be feeling too comfortable.
No, I wouldn't either. The two other deals, we can go through them really quickly. Not nothing major. St. Louis trading Pierre-Olivier Joseph back to the Pittsburgh Penguins for future considerations, and then Montreal getting a deal done with the Nashville Predators. Alex Carrier, right shot defenseman, kind of smaller stature, but a thick guy, a right shot. So that's a nice kind of bottom four defenseman that they're bringing in, and they give up Justin Barron, who's a younger defenseman, cheaper defenseman, bigger body player. So really Nashville getting a little younger, Montreal getting a little bit mature. I don't really understand why Montreal's making this trade, to be quite honest with you, but it's a D-man swap or D-man swap, I guess.
Yeah, and I was trying how did Barron get to Montreal? And it was
Lehkonen.
He was part of the Lehkonen deal with Colorado, and
he was a first round pick from Colorado, wasn't he?
Yep, he was another one of those Colorado first rounders that just never really panned out for them. You look at how many they've traded away, right? Newhook, they traded away Byram, they traded away Barron. Timmins was a second round pick, but he was a high
Barron?
Justin Barron.
Oh, Barron.
Yeah. And then you got who else? I'm trying to think of who else they would have traded.
I don't know if anyone else really, but
they again, it's first round, a lot of first round picks just kind of not really getting. And with Montreal, Barron wasn't exactly playing a lot. He spent time in the AHL.
Already out.
Oh. Yeah, jeez. So a lot of those
Tyson
weird.
Joe today is probably the guy you're thinking of.
Yes, yeah.
Just
not really. Again, for Montreal, I think they just wanted to have somebody who they felt more comfortable playing in a bigger role potentially. That defense just hasn't been very good for Montreal. So I think they're just a bit of a shake up for that.
Yeah, that's a good point. But it's you're bringing in a veteran.
Yeah,
a guy.
You're not bringing a game changer. He's not a game changer, but he provides a little bit of stability. Yeah. But I'm not expecting tomorrow you're going to see Lane Hudson with Alexander Carrier.
But Carrier was a player who I may have had a little bit of an eye on for the Maple Leafs at some point. I remember last year at the deadline before he signed the extension with Nashville. He was kind of on the short list of we'd top 5 defensemen the Leafs could trade for, and Carrier was on that list. I'm he still would look decent next to Morgan Rielly, but or even maybe next to Simon Benoit, because Connor Timmins not a good night for him, right? So Carrier off the trade board, I guess for now. I don't know. Maybe Montreal could flip him at some point if he could improve his value or something, or they get a decent offer that they like. But so that's two players I got dealt today that the Maple Leafs may have had an eye on at some point. We'll see if the Leafs make a trade. I guess there's still a whole day to go to see if there is some sort of deal to be made ahead of the roster freeze. I'm not expecting one, but it does sound like Toronto is working the phones. At least we'll say they are working the phones, and at some point I do expect Toronto to make a decently sizable deal. It sounds like they're willing to make a deal to improve the club, either a depth defenseman or a middle six center. Some strength down the middle is also kind of what we're hearing the Maple Leafs are looking to do.
Yeah, I just don't know if like a center, if anyone's. Haven't really heard many names out there.
Not right now, but
But at some
you know,
point,
down the
you will
line.
see. Yeah, I was surprised. Kind of just surprised a lot of teams. Like for New York, I understood. It's a tire fire over there. They're just making any moves right
Except
now.
in Nashville though, like that
Yeah.
even looks like it may be like Nashville. We gotta do something because this
Yeah.
is going back. Like we gotta trade somebody. So
But like,
trade away,
I think like teams firmly in contention right now are just maybe they're a little timid to make a deal that a little just no. They're not gonna make a deal for the sake of making a deal, but making one a little bit of a hasty situation just because now it's like trade action starting to spur up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, buddy. I think that'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for you guys tomorrow. We'll tee up the game tomorrow against, why am I blanking? Friday they
Buffalo.
play Buffalo Sabres. That's why, because it's an irrelevant franchise that's lost 11 games in a row, which means trap game, possibly. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.